What's going on, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to uh, work on some dialogues to go ahead and get rid of this tinyfd crap. And it will also give us the ability to customize what our dialogues are actually going to look like. Because most dialogues you can't really customize that much. There is some dialogues, in case you don't know, that actually comes with Java, which is like the J option pane. The problem with that is J option pane, whenever you're running it, like at runtime or anywhere in Lightweight Java Game Library, it's going to lock everything up. And we've kind of discussed this in the past as well. And we don't like it to lock up. We don't want everything to lock up. We want it to, make sure that we can't move on, but we don't want it to actually physically lock up. So we can go ahead and go to Engine, right click, new class. We're just going to call this Dialog. And this is going to be a straight up Java episode. So nothing to do with Lightweight Java Game Library. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is we need to have a return value. So let's go ahead and make a private static return value and a private static int finished and equals 0. Oh, stop it, microphone. All right, and these right here are basically for the input dialogues, and that's it. None of the other dialogues are really going to need it. Whenever we get into like a color dialog, we will have a color right here for the return value. So it'll be like a color return or something like that. But we're not gonna work on color dialogues just yet, because that actually takes a little bit. Because we need color picking and all that crap. Breaking each individual part of the color up. We don't want to do that, at least right now. So let's go ahead and create the method. So public static, not public static string input dialog. And all we're going to take in is a string title and a string default value. So let's go ahead and pull up what uses tinyfd. See if I can remember. Was it asset database? No, it wasn't asset database. What is it that uses tinyfd? Oh, GUI. It's been so long since we did that that I'm actually going to have to find it. So new pop-up, float.parse. It's under text field. Right? Yes, right here. Okay, so for tinyfd input boxes, you pass in the title, so the title here, and then you pass in like a message for whatever. We don't need that, so we're just going to chop that out. So all we're going to need is the title of the window and the actual value. So it'll make it a little bit shorter as well. And you can customize this however you want, but I'm just going to do something very basic because we don't need anything flashy. So jframe frame equals new jframe, and then we will set the title of the jframe. Let's go ahead and import that. Here I'm just going to call frame.pack. Now I'm just going to set the size and make sure that we can't resize it because we want it to stay all the same. There's no reason for it to be any larger. And so that it looks nice and we don't have to worry about anything, we'll just go ahead and make it non-resizable. So frame.setSize, and for the size I have already mapped everything out so that I don't have to tinker around with everything. So we're going to be using 300, and what else did I write down? It's 103, and that should be the size of our frame. And then we're gonna set the resizability, so frame.set resizable false. And then we need to set the default close operation. We'll be using jframe.dispose on close. Do not use exit on close. There's several different things that you can use right here. Do not use exit on close because that's going to close your entire, it's going to close the entire application. We don't want that. So you want just to dispose it. All right. So after that, we need to create a container. So container pane equals frame.get content pane. So we'll get the content pane and then store it here. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to set return value to equal default value. That way we already have a return value whenever we get to the end of the function, the end of the method, and after the loops and all this crap, it will already be set. So if you don't change anything and hit cancel or exit, it's going to return the value that was already originally passed in. All right, so now we need to get a text field going. So jTextField field equals new jTextField, and pass in default value. So that way it's already capital T. There we go. So that way the text field's already filled out. Now we need to set the bounds. set bounds. And for here, let me see. It's 55275 and 25. Right, 27525. Okay. So then we'll go pane dot add field. There. So now that's added. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to add an OK and cancel button. Okay. So JButton OK equals new JButton OK. Import that. All right. So now we have the OK button. So now we need to actually set the bounds so that we know, because we're basically just I don't know if you remember or if you followed along in that episode, but similar to how we did the engine loader, the engine bootloader. So we're just setting all these by hand instead of with any kind of stupid layout, because, well, I hate Java's layouts. All right, so the OK.setBounds, I've got 115, 34, what is that, 80? Yeah, and 24. Okay, so then that should lay out nicely. Okay, so then we're going to go OK dot add action listener. We're going to pass in a new action listener. All right. Wait, do I not have that? There we go. All right. And add unimplemented methods. Pull that in. Whoops. And here. So whenever we click the OK button, what we need to do is we need to set the return value. So return value equals field. I think I just messed up. Field dot get text. Don't tell me. Okay, it is gonna let me. Awesome. I thought it was going to screw around and not let me, since it's inside of this add action listener. All right, so then here we need to say finished equals 1. And then at the end of this, we need to actually add it to the pane. So pane.add. Okay. Awesome. So now that that button is done, you can actually copy this whole thing and paste it here for the cancel button. So let's go cancel. And cancel. 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 And cancel. Stop playing with me, Mike. Return value is going to equal null. You can do this however you want it. So if you click cancel, you can either return null or return like an empty string. But I'm just going to pass in null because whenever we, or actually it's not returning anything once we, wait, yeah it is. Yeah it is, never mind. Yeah, so we're just going to pass in, or tell return value to equal null. Alright, and then after here, we need to call frame.setLocation, there you are, relative to null, because we don't want it to have any relation. And we're going to say frame.set visible true. And of course, finished equals 0, because we don't want finished to equal 1. Because let's say we use one text field or one input dialog, and then it closes, the static variable will be 1, since we're calling 1 if we hit OK. So then if we open another input dialog, we want to make sure it's reset back to 0. So then here, we're going to do like we did in the Bootloader episode. And what this is going to do is it's going to make sure that it does not lock up. So how this works, if you did not watch the other episode, it's going to say while finished does not equal 1. So it's basically just an infinite loop. So if it's not finished, it's going to continue this loop and not go through any other code, which seems like it would be locked up, but we're actually going to set it to go to sleep. So we're going to say thread dot, oh come on, thread dot sleep, and I'm going to sleep for however long you want. It could be 1, it could be 100, it could be 1,000, whatever in the world you want. So we'll try catch. Quit it. All right. So then it checks. Then we need to check if the frame is actually null. Because if the frame is null, then we of course have gotten rid of it. So if frame equals null, then we're going to break. But there is something else we have to add. And that is else if frame dot is displayable. Whoops. If the frame is not displayable, So if we have a frame, but it is not displayable, then we also need to break. And here, we're just going to call frame.dispose, because like I said, it's going to continue with this code right here while it's doing this infinite loop. It will never reach over here until it's finished, or until it gets what it needs. And then we're going to return value. All right. And I think we're done with input dialogs. All right, so let's test this out. Right here. Say string s equals dialog dot input dialog. Then I'm going to say string name. What does that say? I'll say that. Copy, paste. Default value is fee. All right, let's see if we get the same results as the tinyfd. Should work. Hope it works. I don't want to go back over it again. Tutti Frutti. Let's just change the name, Tutti Frutti. Ew, that's gross. What happened to that? I know I put in the right values. Let's see here. Relative to setting the bounds. What in the world could be wrong? Give me just a second and I'll figure out why that's like overlapping and not taking in my values. As soon as I push pause, I see what I did. I never, exactly how I said, I never actually set the layout to equal null. I was sitting there talking about it and never added it. Because it's got an automatic layout system and you have to tell it, hey, I'm going to put in my own values. Don't try to automatically change where all my stuff's supposed to go. I mean, it should probably know that since I'm giving it values, but I don't know. Apparently it's stupid or something. And my cancel button's gone. Awesome. Okay. And it is still locking up. You know what? Whatever. Change that to fart hole. Why not? Okay, well it is working. So that's good. And okay. Paint.add, okay. Okay, pane.add cancel. Ah, I didn't. Wait, I did. Oh, because it's sitting on top of each other. I never changed these values. What in the world? Okay, let me see where I wrote down those values. I think I put away my paper. Oh, there it is. Right here, we just need to change that to 198. Tutti frutti. Pow. Tutti frutti. Butthole. Yeah, that's going to be annoying. I didn't add the enter stuff. We'll do that another time though, because I need to go ahead and go on to text dialogs. Okay, so yes, that is working. Oh, what if I cancel? If I change it and cancel? A-hole. Exit. Okay, good. What if I exit? What if I change it and exit? What if I minimize it? Awesome. Always make sure that you do your checks like that. Just have any available way to break your code. I know it sounds kind of silly, but as a programmer, you always want to try to break your own code. Because if you can break your code, you need to fix it. Because, well, that's a bug. And other people are most likely going to break your code. That's just how it works. Oh, stop it. This mic, I should have never moved it like a couple weeks ago, because ever since I moved it, it's been a pain. Alright, so lastly, for today at least, let's go ahead and move on to the message dialog. We use the message dialog for debugging. So, if you don't remember, let's go into debug for a second. Where did I put that? Right here. Alright, so whenever I click on the button, right now it's going to be empty, of course, because we don't really have much going to the dialog. So right here, I'm just going to say for I equals 0, I is lower than, let's say 50. I is, whoops, I plus plus, and then I'm going to say log, this is kind of like, kind of like a test. But you get the gist. Because it's, because it's long. There, just to get something long in there. And it's going to log it 50 times every time we click on this debug button. So just to show what we have, I know you've seen it, but how we had our dialog before with tinyfd, and the same issue rises with JOption panes, is you get this crap. That looks terrible. And look, I have 50, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh yeah, because I have it set at 20. So let's go ahead and do okay. I forgot I need to change this, because I have it stopping at 20 right now. I'm going to have it stop at 50, so we can have no more than 50. So after 50, it removes the oldest and replaces with the newest. And I did that before just because of this whole stretchiness crap. Like we have no, or before we didn't have any scrolls. So it kind of looked like this. It either stretched out, or like if we had, let's say 100 or whatever, it would just stretch out all the way past the screen. And you know, error messages can be enormous because it tells you all the information that you need to know about what your error is. And that's the whole reason why we're changing this dialog as well. Besides the whole point that we're getting rid of tinyfd in general. But whenever you use JOption pane, same issue. So we need a public static void message dialog. And the whole reason why I spent a minute talking about that is because this is going to be super tiny. I think you're going to like it. All right. So, like before, we just need the title and the message. So, for here, we need to do the same as what we did up here, except for we don't need to actually get the name. So let's go jframe frame equals new jframe title. And then after the title, we're going to pack the frame. And then after we pack it, we're going to set the size of the pane, or the frame. And we'll just do 400 by 400. And then let's go frame dot set default close operation, jframe dot dispose on close, just like we did before. All right, and then right here we need j text area. It's text area equals new j text area, and then the message. Yes. And then let's go j scroll pane scroll equals new j scroll pane, and then pass in the text area. So we don't need to set any kind of size, nothing like that. It's going to automatically do it for us. Except for we need to do text area dot set editable and then false. That way we can't change any of the information that is passed into the message dialog. We can highlight it and stuff, we just can't change anything. Then we're just going to call frame.add scroll, and then frame.set visible true. Look at that. It's done. I mean, we don't have... I mean, this one's not working anyways. I don't understand why. I don't know for sure why it's not just... why it's not sleeping properly. And it's actually just freezing it up. But holy crap, what are they doing up there? Like pounding on the ceiling. Yeah, we'll just leave that there, and maybe I can figure it out later. Alright, so now we got that. So let's go into debug. Whenever we go into the draw, instead of calling tinyfd message dialog, see on tinyfd message box, you have the name of the window, the actual log. You have to tell it OK cancel, even though it's a message box. It should obviously be OK cancel. And then you have two more at the end. Like, that is just a whole bunch of crap for something so simple. So, here, ours is going to be a lot easier, since we only have to pass in two things. So we're going to say dialog.messageDialog. We're going to just say, or I am at least, I'm going to say debug window. And then I'm going to pass in the log. Yeah, a lot smaller, a lot neater. So let's go ahead and run that. Again. And let's click on this log. All right. That's a lot better. So automatically brings up the scroll view for us. If it's too long that way, automatically brings it up for horizontal. That's a lot more practical. Later on down the road, for the debug window, we will add, like, well, debug in general, add just regular text and error messages, warning messages. So warning messages will be in yellow or orange. Error messages will be in red. Whenever it shows a page or whatever, or a number that needs checking or whatever on a script, it'll actually tell us, and I will possibly eventually, if I get around to it, add the ability to click on whatever number, and it will open up that script and open up that line that is causing the issue in that script. But that's if I get around to it. It's a little complicated, so I don't know. We'll see. I might. But yeah, that ends today's episode. So now we can get rid of all this tinyfd crap that we were using, and it won't lock up my computer whenever I try to use it as a standalone because, well, my computer's a potato and it loves to lock up my computer. Next episode may work on possibly right-clicking, adding some pop-ups for right-clicking, maybe adding the ability to create scripts and stuff like that. Kind of like how we have our menu bar up here. So maybe next episode we will add some more things to the menu bar so that we can create new scripts or whatever the case may be, and it will actually create the file and import them into the application. And also give us the ability to right click and get a pop-up window so we can do whatever it is we can do. So here we're going to have, you know, this set of things to do, but if we click over here, it's going to have a completely different set of things we can do. All right, so I will see you in the next episode. All right, bye guys.